All right, welcome in, everyone. We're diving deep today.
You deep dive.
You know, I love it.
I love it.
We're talking all about something that I think is super relevant to our audience, especially anyone listening who's in a leadership position.
Yeah.
Whether you're leading in your church or a ministry, even if you're in the business world, we're talking about leadership. But a specific kind of leadership.
Okay.
We're talking about altruistic leadership.
I like that.
And we're going to be taking a look at an article by Glenn Blakeney over at Awake Nations.
Oh, yeah.
Awake Nations is doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, they're great.
And Blakeney, in this article, really, I think, nails some really important things about leadership, and it's something that I think we all need to hear. It's a good reminder.
So have you had a chance to look at this article at all?
Oh, yeah. I love this article. I think Blakeney brings up a problem that I see happening more and more these days.
No. I see so many leaders, especially in faith communities, kind of getting lost in their roles.
Oh, exactly.
They get focused on titles, positions, all that.
So like the kind of pomp and circumstance of it all.
Exactly. And it's like they forget about actually, serving the people.
Yeah, serving the people they're supposed to be leading, right?
It's like they're leading from above instead of from within.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
And Blakeney, he really gets into, why this happens.
So what does he say? What's the why?
Well, he talks about how a lot of these leaders, they surround themselves with yes men.
So no one's really challenging them or pushing back on their ideas.
Exactly. They only hear what they want to hear.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It is. And then they start focusing way more on their own goals, their own agendas, instead of what's best for the community as a whole.
Right. So it becomes more about them and less about the people they're supposed to be serving.
Exactly. And he even gives this one example in the article about a pastor who is so fixated on growing his congregation.
Okay.
That he completely missed all the really difficult stuff the people in his church were dealing with every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of that's a powerful example of how, when you get so focused on one metric,
right,
that you kind of lose sight of the bigger picture.
And the people.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like he was so focused on the numbers that he forgot about the people behind the numbers.
Yeah. And it makes me think about a lot of things, actually. We're talking about pastors and church leaders and things like that, but it makes me think about leadership in all different areas of life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Businesses, organizations, even just, in our families, right? Yeah. Like, how easy is it to get so caught up in whatever our goals are that we forget about the people around us?
It's so easy. And I think that's why Blakeney, in this article, he brings up this idea of the Jesus model of leadership.
Ooh. And it really struck me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty high bar.
It is, but it's a powerful model to consider.
So what is it, how does Blakeney break down this whole Jesus model of leadership?
He talks about how Jesus consistently put the needs of others before his own.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And it's something I think a lot of leaders today struggle with.
Right. Because, I feel like we live in a world that really, really values ambition and achievement and kind of putting yourself first in a lot of ways.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about climbing that ladder and, being the best.
Getting ahead. Exactly.
But Jesus was all about service.
Oh, yeah. And he was so good at meeting people where they were at.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. He didn't just preach from a distance. He went out and he talked to people.
Mm-hmm.
He engaged with them.
He listened.
Listened to their stories, healed them, showed them compassion and empathy.
And real empathy, not just going through the motions.
Yeah, not just lip service, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was really present with people.
Yeah, and, thinking about that today, especially with how busy and, kind of crazy the world is,
yeah,
that model of leadership can feel really radical.
It can feel almost impossible.
Yeah, but I think it's a challenge that Blakeney's putting forward to us.
So what do we do? How do we actually, take this Jesus model and make it a reality in our lives, in our leadership?
Well, Blakeney gives us some practical steps we can take.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm ready.
He lays out these 4 principles of altruistic leadership.
4 principles.
Yes.
All right, let's go through them one by one.
Okay, so the first one is all about Empathy and active listening.
Empathy and active listening.
Yeah, and he emphasizes that this is way more than just, like, hearing what people are saying.
Right, it's about really understanding. Right?
Exactly. You have to actually get into their shoes, see things from their perspective.
It's like putting yourself in their shoes.
Yes, exactly. And, Blakeney even suggests things like having one-on-one walk and talks with people.
So like getting out of the office, getting out of the formal setting.
Yeah, exactly. It's about creating a space where you can really connect with people on a deeper level.
I like that.
Yeah. And that kind of leads us to the second principle, which is all about prioritizing community needs.
Prioritizing community needs, okay?
This is about, making decisions that are rooted in the well-being of the community.
Not just your own goals or your own agenda.
Right. It's asking yourself, are we addressing the real needs of the people we're serving?
And are we making a tangible difference in their lives?
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's where the third principle comes in.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
Which is about encouraging diverse perspectives.
So important.
It's like if we're only surrounded by people who agree with us all the time,
you're going to get stuck in an echo chamber.
An echo chamber, exactly.
And you're going to miss out on so many important viewpoints.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we can all be better at, right? Like actively seeking out different perspectives, especially perspectives that might challenge our own assumptions.
Totally.
And that leads us to the fourth and final principle.
Okay, number 4.
Which is engaging with the community.
This is about being present.
Yeah, not just leading from a distance.
Exactly. You can't be an effective leader if you're not actively involved in the community you're serving.
Right. So it's about showing up, being present, building relationships with people, right?
Yeah, and really understanding the challenges and opportunities that exist within that community.
And it's not just about, physically showing up, right?
No, it's about being engaged, asking questions, listening to people's stories.
And being willing to learn, right?
Absolutely.
Like to be changed by those interactions.
Yeah, it's about a genuine desire to connect and serve.
And, I think all 4 of these principles are so important. And they really kind of work together to create this, holistic approach to leadership.
Right. It's about leading with empathy, with intentionality, and with a genuine heart for the people you're serving.
So I want to throw it back to our listeners for a second.
Okay.
As you're hearing all of this, what's resonating with you the most?
Yeah, what stands out to you?
Where do you see the biggest opportunity for growth in your own leadership?
Maybe it's about, initiating those deeper conversations we were talking about.
Yeah, like those one-on-one walk and talks.
Or maybe it's about seeking feedback from people you don't normally hear from.
Or being more intentional about creating space for different viewpoints in your decision-making process.
Yeah, like even just starting with one small step.
I think that's the key, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have to do it all at once.
You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah, just start somewhere, start small, and keep growing.
Because every step, no matter how small, can make a difference.
And I think that's really the heart of what Blakeney is getting at in this article.
It's about recognizing that leadership isn't about titles or positions or power.
Yeah.
It's about serving others.
And empathy.
And putting their needs before our own.
And I think that's a message that we all need to hear and we need to be reminded of over and over again.
Especially in the world we live in today.
So if you want to dive even deeper into this topic, I highly recommend checking out Glenn Blakeney's article over at Awake Nations.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a read.
You can find it on their website, awakenations.org.
You can also connect with Glenn directly through the site.
And you can even join their leaders community.
Oh yeah, their community is amazing. It's a great place to connect with other leaders who are passionate about this kind of leadership.
So go check it out and keep learning and growing.
As we're wrapping up here, I just keep thinking about the potential impact. Like imagine if every leader in every sphere of influence,
every area of life,
embraced these principles.
A world where empathy and service are at the heart of leadership.
I mean, that's a world I want to live in.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with each of us taking these principles to heart and making them a reality in our own lives and in our own leadership.
Something to think about as we continue on our journeys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.